All right, we'll give Robert Murray some credit here. When the president was telling the EPA to enforce some of these new climate rules, he fought the law, and I think he won. Robert Murray now on the Supreme Court slapping down the administration's attempt to push some of these new EPA climate rules on folks. Good to have you, my friend. How you doing?
I'm all right, Neil. Thank you for having me again. You
know, it's interesting, Robert, this now the devil is in the details and whether the administration stops with this stuff, right? I mean, we've known from prior decisions that it might be the obvious that they would, but they don't necessarily have to, right? The EPA can still make your life, for example, very difficult.
Oh, yes, Neil. And what they've been doing is a fraud, an absolute fraud. And the Supreme Court saw this when they granted the stay, which many people thought that we would never have a chance.
What does that mean, though? Because the administration can say it's not an outright victory for you. What did they mean by that?
No, it isn't a total outright victory, right, Neil, but it's an indication from the United States Supreme Court that the D.C. Court of Appeals has been wrong. It's a very liberal court, and it portends that we will win the major fight. What does the stay do, sir? It stops the deadline of September that the states had to comply with their state implementation plan submittals. It stops the utilities from having to do it. It stops the Sierra Club. It stops the National Resource Defense Council, Michael Bloomberg of New York, and all of these enemies of low-cost, reliable electricity in their tracks.
All right, but if I'm a utility and I have to get ready for the possibility this is going to happen, I can't stop what I'm doing to prepare for it, right? So it bought him a little bit more time, but it's sort of like a kid in college. The term paper's still coming. The professor pushed it back. So cynically, I could read into that utilities haven't dodged a bullet here, right?
Well, there's one difference, Neil. The Obama administration and his Democrat supporters have been gaming the system from the beginning, sir. We, last July 29th, won before the United States Supreme Court what was called the Utility Act, Maximum Achievable Technology. But Obama and his Democrat friends had already closed 411 coal-fired power plants. Neil, they tried to do the same thing this time. The United States Supreme Court saw through it, and they stopped
it. That was the decision, if memory serves me right, Robert, where the court said you have to weigh the cost of the regulations you impose. But what didn't change out of the EPA was that behavior. They still heaped a lot of regulations, and they seem to give passing interest to the cost of them. So they didn't change what they were doing.
No, they haven't. But that is the reason, sir. The Clean Air Act of '71, as amended in 1990, says EPA, Obama, you have to count the cost of these regulations. He didn't do it, and that's why we won last July before the Supreme Court. That is one of our 6 arguments in this case against the destructive, expensive power plan. And by the way, Neil, I've now been joined by 29 states that have felt that I was correct.
No, you started something. I will give you credit, my friend, whether people agree or disagree with you. No one's doubting the fact that you have some pull, as they say. But let me ask you on the Republican side, when you look at the candidates, because I take it you're not just a few conversations, you're not a Hillary Clinton fan. So who of the Republicans do you like?
The one that has spoken out the most for reliable, low-cost electricity in America is Ted Cruz. He's been the strongest one for people on fixed incomes, for people who manufacture a product on this climate change issue. Others are supporting it, but not as much as Ted Cruz. Am I supporting Ted Cruz? Not necessarily. I think it's a mad scramble, but I can tell you this. Hillary Clinton said, and that is her word, she will expand Obama's policies, and she said, I will get $30 billion and send it back to these coal communities for the jobs that she destroyed. I can tell you, Neil, those miners of mine, they don't want Hillary Clinton's welfare. They want jobs.
Real quickly, then, we had Meghan McCain here said if push came to shove, she'd vote for a tuna sandwich over Hillary Clinton. Now, that might be infeasible if you think about it, because there's not a whole lot a tuna sandwich can do. But again, if you were given that choice, a tuna sandwich, Hillary Clinton, what would you pick?
I wouldn't pick her or Sanders. I would definitely take the tuna sandwich, sir.
Wow. So that means the tuna sandwich would have to get that 3 a.m. call, and you hope that it's up to it, right?
I believe that the tuna sandwich will not be as destructive
All right.
as these Democrats in the Obama administration have been to the poor people in this country, people on fixed incomes, and people who are trying to manufacture a product.
Wow. Well, I learn something every day. Thank you, my friend. Very good having you.
Thank you, Neil.